Hello and welcome to another video, and today I'm going to talk you through my 5 things that I wish I knew when I first started lifting. So, if you're excited to see some pictures of me looking like an absolute weasel, like this one, then give the video a like and let's get into it. Okay, we're in. Now, I thought rather than just sit down and give you my 5 things, it would be more interesting / engaging if I went about my everyday tasks and then talked you through the 5 things as I went. Now, with that said, I have just lied to you because I'm in a skate park around the corner from my house and it's about -5 degrees, so I certainly would not do this every day, but I'd already eaten my breakfast when I decided to make this video, so it's the next best thing. Sorry, just letting this rude person behind me drive away. Goodness sake. I've also... What the hell? Okay, I set this camera up because I thought it was quite a cool scenic background. Turned out there's a grossly inappropriate bit of graffiti behind me. I'm assuming you can read it. It's basically a ginormous green man just openly admitting that he defecates on the elderly. What the hell? Why? Who's wasted paint? Friggin', like, I can't even find the words to... That's just absolutely outrageous. Right, I've started, so I'm leaving the camera here. Anyway, let's get into it. My first point is being in a calorie surplus. Before I start, I'm standing on like a half pipe, so I can literally stand here and then just like slowly slide down. So forgive me if I'm just like randomly moving around as I speak to you. I'm just trying to get engaged and right next to the camera, you know. So yeah, being in a calorie surplus. Now, when I first started training, I didn't really know how it worked in terms of like needing to eat enough food to grow. You know, like I knew obviously diet was important, but I thought the same as a lot of kids do now, that it's about what you eat, it's about eating quality food, and that's how you're gonna get big. You know, like it's better to have a nice bit of chicken breast and some broccoli than having a McDonald's. And to an extent, that's true. Of course, it's more healthy, but with that said, if you're not in a calorie surplus, if you're not getting enough calories, quite simply put, you're not gonna get bigger, and it's gonna be really hard to get stronger. It amazes me how many people, particularly teenagers, will train really hard every day, and at the end of the week, at the end of the month, at the end of the year, they're still skinny, and they're amazed. They don't understand why that is. Quite simply put, they're not eating enough food. The basic mechanics of the human body dictate that if you are not giving your body an excess of calories, it can't make more muscle. It hasn't got the energy to do that. So unless you are a complete beginner whereby you can still make some progress without eating a huge amount of food, basically eat more food. And with that said, I need to get to the gym and train for myself, plus it's freaking freezing, so I need to go and get inside. I'll see you there. I'm at the gym, you're on a lockout, number 69 if you must know. I choose it every time I come in just because like I'm a 12-year-old. Anyway, today's a back and bicep session. I'm going to start off with some weighted pull-ups. Let's go. Okay, that's back done. Before I start biceps, I'm going to quickly talk to you about the second thing that I wish I knew when I first started training, and that is progressive overload. Now, progressive overload is the most simple principle, but it's also the most important, and it basically dictates that in order for you to get bigger and stronger, you need to increase your training or make your training harder over a period of time. Now that can be over like a course of weeks or a course of months, but it needs to get harder. Now you can do this by increasing the weight, by doing more reps, more sets, reducing the recovery, increasing the intensity. There's loads of ways of doing it, but if you don't make your training harder, you're not going to improve. And the reason I say I wish I knew this is that, like, when I first started training, I basically had no idea what I was doing. Like, it was very common for me to go into the gym and literally make it up as I went along. And I see this all the time. I see people training, even like more experienced lifters, just literally doing it, winging it from session to session. And the problem with that is that you may make some progress initially, and it's actually quite fun sometimes, but the problem is that you can't track your training. You have no idea how much you've done, and so over a period of time what you're going to find is that your training volume, rather than increasing, is going to be staying the same, sometimes even going down. So obviously with that in mind, you're not going to improve. So to give you an example on a really basic level, all you've got to do is choose a weight for a lift and count the number of reps you do over the course of that session. The following week, just do more reps, simple as that. That way you've increased your volume, your progressive overload is going to happen, and you're going to get stronger and bigger. Right, let's train some biceps. Training is done. I know what you're thinking. Where is your water bottle and towel and like keys and phone and stuff? More importantly, how did your camera get on top of your car whilst you were in the gym? Well done. Ruining it for everyone else. But you're one of those friggin' dorks that watches films and is like, oh, actually the shadow moved slightly in that clip. His socks changed from that scene to the previous scene. Friggin' losers. Anyway, I need to get home and get some lunch because I'm freaking starving. But before I do that, I thought I'd quickly talk to you about the third thing that I wish I knew when I first started training, and that is that form has to come before weight. Now, when I first started training personally, all I cared about was how much weight I was lifting. I remember like thinking with the bench press that I really wanted to be able to bench 60 kilos, and then I remember thinking like I wanted to get 80 and then 100 kilos, and all I was doing was chasing numbers, and I had no idea what my form was like. And obviously, if you're looking to get stronger, then, you know, to a degree that's going to work, but if you're looking to get bigger, it's not going to work at all. The priority has to be your form, has to be your technique, and more importantly, has to be the fact that you're engaging the correct muscles you want to be engaging. So a great example of this is working your back, okay? It's so easy, and in fact, I spent a good couple of years going on through back workout after back workout and never really engaging my lats because I didn't know how. Okay, I just went in there, I thought, well, you know what, if I just do loads of lat pull downs, my back's going to get bigger. And of course there is going to be some lat engagement, of course, that's unavoidable. But if you want to really grow your lats, or any muscle for that matter, you've got to practice engaging it. Same goes for my chest. I spent ages just doing loads of bench press and loads of dumbbell press and machine chest press, but never really engaging my chest. And it wasn't until a friend of mine told me about the whole retracting your scapula and squeezing your chest, etc., that I realized you can actually contract your chest. Now, I remember sitting in a car, this sounds weird actually, but sitting in a car and just like contracting my chest, and the difference I felt from that moment on was huge. I remember going into the gym and doing like a chest workout, and I felt like I'd suddenly discovered like new muscles that I never knew I had before. And the reality is I'd gone through push workouts previously, just kind of knocking out loads and loads of reps with my shoulders all here in terrible form and not even thinking about engaging my chest and never really doing much. And as soon as I sat up properly and started squeezing and thinking about contracting my chest whilst I was doing a movement, the difference was absolutely huge. I know it sounds weird and pretty creepy, but if you just sit in your house, in your room, wherever, and practice engaging a muscle, practice engaging your chest, practice engaging your lats, practice engaging your biceps and your triceps, get to know what that feels like, and then when you're in the gym, you don't have to stare in the mirror, you can just feel if that muscle is contracting. And if it's not contracting, then make sure you're doing the movement correctly and keep going until it is. And at that point, when your form is good and you know you can engage muscles without even thinking about it, that's when you can start pushing for heavier weight. Right, let's go home and get some food. And lunch is served, so I have some parsnip soup that I heated up from yesterday. That's probably gonna fall out if I took it anymore. I've got 4 bits of toast with butter, because white toast and butter is one of the best things in the world, and it takes 5 seconds to make, more importantly. And then some reheated chicken from the fajitas we had the other day. Squash, I'm good to go. Now before I eat this, I'm going to quickly talk to you about number 4 on my list of things that I wish I knew when I first started training, and that is the training program. Now, I talked to you earlier about the importance of progressive overload. I'm just going to move that because I'm going to put my elbow in the soup, and that will be not ideal. Yeah, I talked about the importance of progressive overload, and what facilitates progressive overload, as well as you being aware of it, is a good training program. Now, it doesn't need to be like super complex, particularly if you are a beginner. Something as simple as like a push-pull legs will work really well, but it is really important you have some kind of programming in place just to make sure that you know what you're doing and that progressive overload is taking place. So when I first started training, again going back to myself, every day was biceps day, right? My uncle gave me some dumbbells when I was about 14, 15, and I remember doing arm curls like probably every other day for a long period of time, and that's pretty much all I would do, which was great for my biceps, but it meant that I have some massive imbalances in terms of my biceps to triceps and then chest to back, and that's really, really common. You know, you see it all the time. Someone will be in the gym with their friends want to do chest and arms, they do chest and arms. They're in the gym the next day with their other friends, they also want to do chest and arms, so that guy ends up doing chest and arms again, and before you know it, he's hit chest and arms 3 times a week and nothing else. And what that means is not only are you neglecting loads of body parts and also going to develop strength imbalances, you're also not going to see that progressive overload, because the following week you might only hit chest and arms once. So obviously in that case the volume has not increased in the previous week, it's actually decreased. So all you need to do is just map out roughly what you want to do. So for example, let's say you're going to train 3 days a week. Let's say you're training Monday, Wednesday, Friday, right? You do push on Monday, you do pull on Wednesday, and you do legs on Friday. Now like I said before in the progressive overload section, just loosely track what you're doing. So let's say you do for squats 40 reps with 100 kilos, right? The following week let's try and get 41 or 42 reps. Now that's a really basic level of progressive overload, but that is enough in the beginning of training to make progress. So that's that. Basically, just don't go into the gym and wing it and do whatever you feel like. Have some kind of plan so that you know what you're doing from week to week and from day to day. Right, let's eat some toast. Lunch is done, onto dessert, and that's going to take the form of these absolute sick homemade cake thingies that Sarah's made. It's like a flapjack, essentially, with Rice Krispie flapjack. Oh, hello. With date inside and then chocolate on top. If you watch my last video, you'd be familiar with them. Luca is an absolute hobo. He's turned into like a dog, yeah, like a scroungy dog that's like when you're eating, and it's quite annoying, although he's a big old boy, so he needs the cows. Anyway, I'm going to take this chance to talk about the 5th and final thing that I wish I knew when I first started training, and that is protein intake. Luca, how important is protein intake? Thanks, bro. Okay, so protein intake. Now, when I first started training, in fact, for most of my like juvenile life, I had no idea about protein intake. Like, I'd obviously heard about protein. I knew loosely what it was. Luca, mate, I'm trying to. This is a serious video here. Can I play with your giraffes, please? I'll give you some in a minute, off camera, so people don't think I'm a terrible dad that gives his son chocolate. Yeah, so I knew loosely what it was, but aside from the odd bit of protein I get in a meal that my mum made me, I made no concerted effort to get protein in my diet. And so a lot of the time I lived off apple pies, quavers and starbursts, which although are undisputably delicious, there's not much there as far as protein goes. So as far as how much protein you actually need, I usually aim for about 1.5 grams per kilogram of body weight. So if you weigh 100 kilograms, that means you need about 150 grams of protein a day. And like I said, it's just an easy way to make sure you're giving your body everything it needs in order to grow. And that concludes my 5 things I wish I knew when I first started training. I'm now going to eat these before Luca does, have a shower, and that's going to be the end of the video. So I sincerely hope you enjoyed it, guys. If you have enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up, and I will see you tomorrow.